All right, everyone. I'm here with Marceline Leiman, designer. Now, I guess you have 3 games here at the con. That is so exciting. So, tell me about like what your main emphasis has been at PAX Unplugged this year.
So yeah, this has been a crazy year for me. Ever since last year at the Indie Games Night Market, where I debuted High Tide, which is sort of like previously was like a handcrafted little indie game that I intended and fully expected to go absolutely nowhere. Suddenly was picked up by a publisher, and suddenly a lot of people wanted to work with me. Of course, it's been years and years of build-up. I've been working with game publishers for many years. It just sort of seems to be coalescing at the same time in a funny
Right.
way. It takes a lot of work, a lot of time. So even though it made it appear on the surface like, whoa, bam, 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 it's actually like a lot of work to lead up. So definitely don't want to like cause any, what is it called? I want to demystify.
Right,
It,
right,
it,
right.
it takes a lot of work to get even just one game to come out, and let alone 3 at the same time. It's so
Yeah,
much.
but it's one of those things with the industry being so small and tight knit, and like it's still an industry where a lot of publishers are talking to each other. I imagine that there's at least one publisher who's like, oh yeah, Marceline was pitching a game to us, and we're picking that up, and there, someone else is scratching their chin, going, oh yeah, Marceline's been getting a lot of buzz. I mean, speaking of buzz, I was at the indie game night market last night, which was crazy. Like, I was so excited to see how much support there was in general for it. But your line was packed, slammed. Like, the audience here was so geared up and ready to check out your games. So right in front of us, we have Heavenly Bodies. This is the new release, right?
This is the brand new game. So for my games for night market, some people I like to think that there's a few different like philosophies for the way the night market works. For designers, the way they like to approach bringing games to the night market. The way I like to approach it is I want to bring a complete brand new game that was made purpose built for the night market. Of course, everyone has a backlog. Some people like to bring a game that just wasn't understood by publishers and think that could be a good opportunity to release games. I think that's a really good way to use the night market. For me, I want to kind of experiment and explore making a game that is just for me, because usually I'm making games
Right.
for clients, which are publishers. Usually I'm making games for other people. Obviously, they're games to my taste because I'm the one making them. But ultimately, I like to treat the night market as ways for me to tap into memories of playing games as a kid, playing games with my partner in this game's case. So I grew up a lot with playing card games. Um, my favorite card game as a kid was Palace, um, BS, the
Yeah, oh yeah,
classics.
yeah, of course.
Also learned how to play like President at some
Uh-huh.
point, which was like the most complex game I thought ever existed. Um, and now here I am making games on my own. So this game for me is like a love letter to the games Gin Rummy and Koi Koi,
Right.
or Go Stop. So Go Stop and Koi Koi I kind of associate very similar kinds of games. Go Stop being slightly more complex. Are
Yeah.
you familiar with Hanafuda cards?
I no, I'm not.
So if you know Pencil First,
Yes,
they like
absolutely.
made in one of their Kickstarters. They made like a deck of Hanafuda cards, like
Okay.
flower cards. Um, Basically, these are Japanese playing cards. I think like the Dutch introduced playing cards to them, and then gambling became banned at one point, and then they made their own cards. Regardless, that was a short history lesson.
This is going like, well, in the Shinjeki era, before this dynasty and the ban
Yeah,
on
yeah.
outsiders. I
So
love it.
so playing cards are banned, but they have a deck of cards called Hanafuda. There's a game that I love to play called Go Stop or Koi Koi, and basically it's like a push your luck game, very chancy, very like, but also strategic. It's a lot of playing around. It's a lot of like negative interaction of playing around this space that you two are kind of like interacting with. And I kind of drew this parallel with this other game that my partner and I love, Gin Rummy.
Of course.
And so I kind of took these two games that we love to play, two-player card games and try to make my own mashup of the two as like my own love letter to the memories of me and my partner playing card games together.
And a love letter to space, because the illustrations in this are supplied by NASA. And tell us about the process that you have for the artwork in this game and kind of the like visual identity, because I think a
Sure.
lot of people, when they see these cards, are just going to immediately want to know more about this game. So it's such a great hook.
Yeah, so I've been thinking a lot about themes that were appropriate. I didn't want something cheesy. I wanted something a little more personal and serious. And to me, I've always had a connection to like, constellations.
Uh huh.
I have memories of like the summers with like fireflies and like looking up at like clear night sky and seeing like comets and like just seeing all the stars. And my partner still suggests that we go to Texas because that's where you see the best stars.
Right, right.
I've never seen it, but I will one day.
Well, you could come up to Alaska and see
I'm
the
sure.
aurora lights.
Yeah,
like
I would love to
get the
sometime.
borealis. So I'm curious about your relationship with the indie games night market, because I've been going to PAX for a long time, and this is a more recent phenomenon. And again, I didn't expect it to have as much enthusiastic support from the general gaming audience. I love interesting, bespoke, little niche games that are either fully self-published or finding their audience. But that's not usually what the typical con-goer is looking for. So, what's your relationship to the night market, and like, how do you, as a designer, as a publisher, as a leader in this space, help promote this stuff?
So I'm friends with Daniel Newman, who also both of us live in Brooklyn, New York. And he is the one who got the night market started all along. He was inspired by Tokyo Game Market. He's actually there right now in Japan. That's why he couldn't
Shout
be here.
out.
Maybe you should interview him next.
Yeah.
But he had this idea. He had the connections and the respect of the people who work here at PAX to trust his idea. And he was able to provide 20 designers last year with tables, chairs, space, and time for free to debut games at this night market.
So cool.
He
cool.
gave the pitch of these are unpublished games. They currently do not have plans for Kickstarter. They're allowed to be weird. They're allowed to be any form of production. The only minimum requirement is send us a 2-sentence pitch. Don't even send us a rule book. Send us a 2-sentence pitch, and make sure that you can provide 20 copies minimum of your game. Last year, I think Daniel got like 25, maybe 30 pitches, and he cut it down to 20. I think the number this year was a lot bigger, and he had to cut that down to 30. And so the way I got really invested in the night market was when I first heard about it, before I knew that I was in. I loved the idea so much because I've always, for a long time, wanted games to have a space that is accessible and easy to just throw out ideas and fail and just make weird stuff. In the same way that I see zine and book and independent book culture in New York.
Yeah.
New York has a really big publication scene.
Yeah.
And so
a long-standing history of underground publication too.
Yes. And so I very much wanted to sort of see a reflection of this sort of culture in games. And I always thought, why can't games have that kind of culture? They're one of the oldest mediums that we have, right? Mm-hmm. I want to see games that people make that are just dice and rules. Like, you're allowed to do that. And I really try to like lower people's expectations and standards for what they expect of themselves when they make games for the night market. Like, buyers are one thing, but I think designers will stop themselves before they give themselves the opportunity to go for the night market. Like, Jack, you could make a game for the night market.
Of course, yeah.
And like, I would love to see random people, media folks, even like established designers, like, to make a game for the night market. Make something scrappy, make something cheap, and make a small amount of it. Not because FOMO is fun or cool, it's just like, there's a really amazing energy when you're allowed to make something that's allowed to fail, or allowed to not meet the expectations of like capitalism.
Right, and it encourages, I think, the more attention that it gets, the more legitimacy to there being all types of games, and there's all types of gamers out there, so it makes sense to me that there should be all types of games. It could be just dice and paper, and for those in the audience that aren't familiar with this at all, these aren't just extremely novice designers. There are some experienced published designers, including Marceline here, who are spending a lot of time getting a lot of attention and heat. And it's kind of like a rising tide floats all ships type of situation. I think it's helpful for the industry as a whole.
Absolutely.
And it's also got a cool, scrappy, grassroots punk rock mentality to it that just kind of gives it a little bit of an edge and, kind of a feeling that you're participating in something.
And so for me, something that is my strength is communication with people on social media. I've never, ever in my entire life been a social media person until I started making games, when suddenly it felt like easy.
Right.
I don't understand why that started feeling that way, but I feel like it's so easy to be passionate and excited about these silly things. They're games, right? It's not life and death. But they're meaningful. And so Daniel, I started kind of like working with Daniel in the sense of like, I am definitely the loudest blowhorn talking about this event, because Daniel, he'd be happy if anyone showed up. Mm-hmm. To me, I want everyone to show up. I mean, he wants everyone to show up too. But to me, it's like, I think there's a synergy between our personalities. He knows how to organize the stuff. I know how to get people there. So I think that's what's fun about it.
Now, these games that you had at your booth, they're not the only games that you had here. I was pleased to see that Button Shy sold out of your game with them. Why don't you tell us a little bit about that game?
Yeah, so in addition to my release at Indie Games Night Market, I also had a simultaneous release, just coincidentally, with Button Shy, my wallet game called Phantasmic. It is like a 2 to 3 player and 4 player with an expansion bluffing game. So if you're familiar with games like Cockroach Poker, Skull, then you might like something like this. I kind of think of it like a King of the Hill bluffing game, because it's all about one person who's in the winning position, but being the king comes with its own detriments.
Right.
You're just as close to losing as the king as you are to winning.
Heavy Lele Crown.
Exactly. But thematically in this game, you're duelists. And the person who is most stands to win or lose their reputation in a duel is the person who has been winning, right? So everyone kind of like challenges the current reigning champion in these duels until any player has either lost 3 bouts and then everyone else wins, or anyone has won 3 bouts and then they win alone.
Hey, it sounds like it has been a hit at the con. It's sold out. And I'm so excited with everything that you've accomplished so far, and that you are this supportive and maybe not aggressive, but we'll say assertive voice in the industry to champion the little designer, making their entry point through indie games. If you had any advice, something that you wish you heard more of when you were first getting started on this journey, what would you share to younger Marceline?
I find it really easy to give other people advice because I definitely didn't believe in my work as deeply as I do now. I like to tell people you can make games. Like, games are something that anyone can make. That's why I'm saying you should make a game.
Okay.
We'll see next year at the night market.
Yeah,
I think you do some design, right?
Eric's got something behind the camera.
Yeah, maybe
we played
show.
his game last night. Seriously, that might be at the night market next
Okay,
year.
The thing is, I genuinely feel like I want everyone and anyone who is interested to consider publishing at the night market and try submitting their game pitch to Daniel. Basically, we have a form every year that will be anonymized, so it'll just be your pitch without your name on it, and a number of people will be, put into that bubble, and Daniel will just sift through all of them and just pick the best ones. that sound the most unique to him. And it's no doubt that we have like a lot of trick takers. It's because Daniel comes from the trick taking community, especially right now. He's very invested in trick taking, so we get a lot of trick takers. But what I really want to do is encourage people of all types and all varieties of game design to really think about how can I make a small version of the games I love to make.
Right.
Trick takers are great because they're just cards. This year I tried doing that as well. Last year I did all handmade, hand painted, spray painted, and stamped wooden pieces, which was a big production for me to do on my own, even just 25 copies. But I really want to encourage people to like really be willing to swing for the fences, even if you can only make 20 copies by hand. Like that is a significant feat. Finishing games is really important. Being able to sell games is really cool. I think everyone should give it a shot, really. Everyone should think to themselves, can I make a game? And the answer should always be yes.
So, if people want to find out more about what you have going on as a designer, or if they want to get plugged into some of these grassroots community indie gaming efforts, what's the best way to get involved?
So for the indie markets, there's an indie game market Discord channel that I can share with you to plug in.
Definitely,
wherever
it's
this
going to
is gonna
be in all the stuff.
And believe that's headed by Ryan Campbell of
Okay.
PGC,
Yeah.
Portland Game Collective. And as for myself,
Yeah, oh, I want to know. People should know your name. If they don't know
Okay.
your name right now, here in 2025, then by 2027, I think they're going to know it because your name is going to be everywhere. Like, I don't know if Marceline can share some of the stuff that's going on right here, but there were a couple projects that I was like, that's a bombshell project.
I'm very excited for more of my games to come out, more to be able to talk about more of these things. But if you want to find me, I'm most active on Instagram as well as Blue Sky as @Marceline Leiman. I'm sure my name will be spelled in the title of this video
Yes, absolutely.
or podcast or wherever it goes. It's not an easy name to spell. I get
Yep.
that. But yeah, you can find me most on those platforms. Otherwise, feel free to email me. Let's see, what's the best email? Marceline.Leiman@tturtle.com. You can
Great.
email me now. I'm currently working as an employee of T-Turtle, my first full-time job.
Hey, look at that.
It's great to have insurance. It's amazing. And so, yeah, that's me, and I'm really excited to keep making games and keep being part of the community, and yeah, just watching people be creative and cool.
Marceline, thank you so much for taking the time to talk
Yeah,
with me,
of course.
and thanks for all you do championing the community.
Absolutely.